Welcome. In this video I'm going to be polishing and clear coating the headlights on a 2006 Honda Odyssey. So these are pretty foggy right now. I'm not going for perfection, I'm just going for improvement. So I bought this little kit on Amazon with some different sanding grits. So I'll use this to clean up the lens. So if you find this video helpful and you want to purchase these, I'll put a link to them in the description. And if you use that link, it helps me out a little bit and doesn't cost you anything extra. So I'm not an expert at this, I'm just sharing my experience. So to get started, I will mask this off. Now this is an old car. If you have a car you care about more, you're going to want to mask more. I do have the hood up, so I don't have to mess with that. So with this kit, you can wet sand and dry sand. So the purple discs, it says to dry sand, then you wet sand with the other discs. So I have a spray bottle here. I have a tiny amount of car wash soap in it, so I can lubricate as I'm sanding. So here's the kit. It comes with these different grits. So this is the sanding pad. You use this in your sander. It's soft, so it'll conform. This is the polishing pad. It looks sort of compressed. I'll set this out in the sun so it can relax. And here we have the different grits. So I'm going to start out with the purple grits. So if you're not familiar with sandpaper, the smaller the number, the heavier the cut. So this is going to leave the surface smoother than the lower number, but you typically would start at the lower numbers and then work your way up. So it looks like there's 4 of the 320, 4 of the 500. I assume there's 4 of each grit. So needless to say, you don't want to use all 4 on one side. You want to split these up. So these are pretty bad. I will start at the 320 and work my way up. Now I'm going to be using a right angle sander. You can use a regular sander too though. So I've adhered the pad to the disc and I'll start sanding. Okay, so the idea behind sanding is that this will leave scratches, and then you go to the next higher grit, and it will take those scratches out, and so on, until you get to polishing. I am going to clean this off between grits with some glass cleaner. Next I'm at 500, and I'll just keep working through the grits. Okay, so I'm through the dry grits. Now I'm going to start going to the wet. So going through these grits, I think we're going to see more clarity. So this I'm going to wet sand, so I'll spray this down and sand it. Okay, that started getting easier with the wet sanding and the finer grit. This is the final grit of 3000. Okay, so that was 3000. Next we'll be polishing. So my thoughts on this so far is it seemed to hold up okay. You might be able to do 1 or 2 pairs of headlights. This would not be good for like starting a business or anything. So I'm going to get some rubbing compound and then we'll go to the polish step. So for polishing compound, I'm using this swirl remover. This is very old. I'm not sure if it'll work, but I'll try it. So I'll put this on the pad and then I'll apply it to the headlight. That polishing compound was no good. I'm going to clean all this off. I'm going to go down a different path and I'm going to use this Mother's Mag and aluminum polish. This is a metal polish, but I've used it on plastic before. Okay, I polished that. I'll buff this off now. Okay, so the polishing steps are done. So this should give a pretty good indication as to what it's going to look like when we're finished. I do see a couple swirl marks here. I'm going to leave them because to get those out I'd have to go back through the courses of sandpaper. but I'm just going to leave it at this step now. So I'm going to cut the video for now while I work on the other side, and I'll come back. Now, one thing I want to mention, this was really messy. It flung plastic dust everywhere, so I'll have to clean this when I'm done. I probably should have kept the hood closed and masked it all off, but this is an old car. It's not going to bother me. Okay, I have them both polished. I don't know if it'll come through on camera, but there is a slight crack here in this lens. There's not much I can do about it. This is also sort of separated here, and you can see in here it's separated. So this has had some trauma at some point, but I think this will be an improvement nonetheless. Okay, so it's actually a couple days later, and I'm inside now. It got too cold outside that day, but I went through all the grits with the sandpaper. Now in the instructions it says you can skip every other grit. I just did every grit. It was probably unnecessary. So my thoughts on the kit is that it worked fairly well. I'm sure a lot of it's based on skill. I have a couple spots where I dug in a little more than I should have. A higher end kit might have had, say, foam backed sandpaper. That might be a little less aggressive. It's hard to say, but this is a 17-year-old car, and I'm very happy with the results here. So I looked at a number of products to seal this after I polished it, and I settled on this Meguiar's Headlight coating. It's the Meguiar's Keep Clear. So this will probably have to be reapplied every few months. I'm putting this on just at the beginning of winter, so I'm guessing maybe early spring I'll probably recoat it. But this seems to be a pretty good coating. It seems to be relatively foolproof. I was looking at some of the coatings that would put a harder finish on, and they're a little trickier, they're more volatile, so that's why I'm going with this. So just before I started filming here, I cleaned this with a brand new microfiber and some isopropyl alcohol, and I went over it a couple times. It's actually a little bit hazy in spots due to that, but I wanted to get any contaminants off of the surface. So now I'm going to shake this up. I'm going to apply 2 medium coats, and I'll wait about 5 minutes between the coats. So it is still a little bit cool in my garage, so I had put a heater on here for a few minutes. They recommend putting this on here cool, but cool is a relative term. The degree that I heated this up would be like a cool evening on a summer day. And I've also been storing this inside, so it's at probably 67 degrees or so. So I'll get this first coat sprayed, then 5 minutes later, I'll give it a second coat. Now I do have the masking on the car. I actually remasked it. If this was a fancier car, I'd probably do a better job masking. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. I'm going to give it the second coat. The instructions say that will be cured in 24 hours. Since it's a cold garage, I'm guessing it could take longer than that. So that was the Platinum Edge Headlight polishing set and the Meguiar's Keep Clear headlight coating. I thought the polishing set worked fairly well at its price point. If you have a newer, higher end car, you might want to look for a little bit higher quality polishing set. But if you're looking for getting your best bang for your buck, I think this is a great option. Now time will tell if the Meguiar's Keep Clear is going to be a good option, but I do like how easy it went on. And if we have to recoat it every once in a while, that would be fine. Now if I had a harder coating on there, it might work better for a little bit longer, but then when I go to recoat it, it might be more difficult to recoat. With this, I should be able to just re-clean it and recoat it, or maybe just give it a quick polish. But if I had a really hard coating on there and it started to go bad, then I'd have to potentially sand that down. But I'm very happy with the results here. They're much, much cleaner than they were when I started. Now, if these do fog up again, hopefully I won't have to go through all the grits again. Hopefully I can just give it a light sanding and a quick polish and then recoat it. So that's all I'm going to cover in this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate if you could do that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.